Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guest Talia Connelly. Talia is a highly accomplished artist and designer whose projects span both the art world and industry. She's here today to primarily tell us about her innovative fundraising initiative called Painting in the Park. Taking place mainly in Boston's Public Garden, Talia paints individual or group portraits within 7 to 12-minute sessions, with donations going to a worthy cause in the Boston area. During the program, we're learning why and how Painting in the Park came about and how it operates today. We'll view and discuss some of Talia's artwork and also hear about her career as a textile designer and in industrial design. Let's start by meeting Talia and then finding out all about Painting in the Park. Welcome, Talia. So delighted you're able to be here.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm really happy to share my work with everyone.
To that end, very eager to hear about this initiative and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I also think it would be of interest if you'd briefly share anything else about your background, artistic, professional interest, please.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Washington State, and I came from a very large extended family. So I was always mimicking the actions of my older cousins. I remember when I was maybe 4 or 5, they taught me how to draw stick figure horses. And that initiated an obsession to want to learn and perceive through drawing like everything else there was in the world. So, yeah, as I got older, I started becoming more interested in fashion, in particular sewing. And I had been working on and off as a designer in the footwear industry after graduating college in textile design. But painting continued really as a creative outlet. I was first selling prints of my work at local vendor fairs, and then I sort of transitioned to more community-driven efforts like teaching classes and the fundraisers that you mentioned at the public garden.
Terrific. Well, building on that, what inspired that initiative to paint people's portraits in the garden and as the fundraising effort?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people that I paint ask me this question. I think it comes from three factors. The first one is definitely timing. I started these fundraisers in 2022, so it was about the tail end of the pandemic. At that point, I was considering a transition, potentially outside of product design, had an interest to pursue something that was maybe more like directly engaged with people's fundamental needs. I had looked at jobs in social work, but that required master's degrees, years of experience, so it seemed kind of implausible at that point to break into. Um, I mentioned that I had also taught figure drawing, so I already had this sort of figure painting routine established. I think maybe one day I was just feeling kind of down about the state of the world, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go to the park, paint, and then see if anything really useful comes out of it. Um, yeah, the second factor, I was raised in a very service-oriented household. My dad volunteered as a math tutor for middle schoolers. He was also part of a visiting program to assist people with mobility difficulties. And then my mom worked at a dog foster rescue organization, and we as a family collectively like hosted international students through a homestay program. So it was a very familiar thing for my sister and I to share our home with people. And I think that's where my extroverted and nature and sort of desire to support other people and other causes come from.
Mhm.
And then lastly, and this is sort of a personal note, but painting is very relaxing for me.
Mm.
So kind of similar to how like people run or do yoga. Yeah, painting puts me in this sort of state of like
Hmm.
singular
Yeah,
concentration and just a very slow, tactile way of thinking and interpreting that clears my mind of outside worries. So,
nice,
yeah.
nice, nice. You know, you mentioned just packing your stuff up and going out to paint. Can you share a little bit about how you transport all the materials you'll need for the portraits and the setup that we're about to see?
Sure. Well, I live in Medford, right next to the Tufts Green Line stop. So having public transit accessibility has been wonderful here. I have, as you see in the photo, a giant suitcase that fits my easel, all my painting supplies. I attach a folding table in front of it. So I just sort of wheel it all around the T. And then I get out at the Arlington stop. The suitcase is extremely heavy. So I'm very grateful for the wheelchair accessible elevators.
Hmm,
And then once I'm at the garden, I will unpack, put out the fundraiser sign, get my painting water, and then wait until someone approaches for a painting.
that's great. How does the setting of the garden influence the whole process, your style, how you approach it, the final product?
Yeah. The paintings that I make in the park are very different to the ones that I make and sell from my home studio. When I'm at home, you can sit and spend like 6, 7 hours on a single painting. Here, because as you saw, there's sometimes a line. And so I use a much looser, sketchier style. It's very similar to fashion illustration, which is what
Ah,
I was trained to do in design school. So you only spend about 7 to 10 minutes on each painting.
wow.
People aren't wanting to hold a pose for very long, especially children and babies and dogs. And so sometimes I'll need to like simplify shapes or use a condensed palette because I can't spend too long mixing a color. But in terms of scale, you notice that the drawing pads are quite large. I like working on a larger format because I can use my entire body then to
Hmm.
make a whole range of marks. The paper itself is about 2 feet by a foot and a half wide, so I find myself being able to be much more expressive than if I were only to use like a tiny notebook and kind of limit my marks to these like small scratches. Um, yeah.
Terrific, terrific. And what's the role or impact of being in the natural setting that contributes to your approach or the portraits that you end up doing of these individuals?
Hmm. Um, when people come to the park, they're either there to like relax or socialize. Maybe it's like on their commute home, if they live close by. So I've done a lot of like picnic poses, uh,
Hmm.
friends just resting and or chatting, underneath a tree, people lying in the grass. Um, I don't incorporate background details into the park
Hmm.
paintings just because it would take much more time and like compositional planning to organize. Um, but yeah, in my studio work, I also paint a lot of natural subjects like forests, birds, plants, landscape scenes. So while it's nature is there in the background and is a setting for the type of poses that people have, they aren't included in the final result for the sort of faster illustrative sketches that time allows me to do.
What's the process like from when somebody first approaches you to then having a pose and eventually doing the portrait? What's that interaction like between you and the individuals?
It really varies depending on I'd say like people's interest in being painted at first. Some people are very hesitant to come up to the table. Other people like run up and they're like, wow, like can I grab a painting? Like, can I be next in line? So sometimes it's like asking people, how do you feel comfortable standing? Do you want to include like if they're with a partner, do you want to include your partner? Do you want to include your kids? Do you just want it of yourselves? And so getting a sense of like who's going to be involved, and then asking them to stand about 6 feet away so I can see the whole outfit. Um, and then making sure that they stay very still for the time that I'm painting. And then the painting itself is done in 3 steps. So the first step is to sketch out the figure in a very light colored pastel. You can see in this photo, it's just kind of like a base layer that you put down just to make sure that the proportions and the gesture of the pose are accurate to what's in front of me. This takes about 15 to 30 seconds. It's just really, really quick. Um, Next is the mixing of the acrylic paint.
Mhm.
I put a lot of water in to get the transparent consistency of watercolors. So that way it dries a lot quicker. Um, and then you can layer more colors on top.
Mm.
And I use this watercolor layer to paint the clothing. So I work top to bottom and then left to right, so I'm not
Mm.
smudging the work as I go.
Mm.
And then finally, I take a usually bright color, neon color, pastel, and add the contour lines on top, rendering faces, expressions, maybe the logo of someone's hat, the ruffles of a jacket or a skirt, and just creating definition and these like little extra details that make it very intentional that it is the people in front of me and the specificity of what they're wearing that's on the page.
How is your approach or technique developed from the beginning to where you are now when you host
Oh,
these events?
wow, what a lovely question. I used to spend much more time mixing colors and wanting the colors to be very accurate to what I was seeing. I realized that that's not feasible when you have to work much more quickly. So at this point, the colors are really whimsical. I also like inventing a palette that I don't know tells more about like the personality of the people, maybe like the
Hmm.
loudness of the patterns or sort of the subtlety of how they uh, present themselves, the dress, whatever. Um, yeah, then being super realistic about something. Um, and sometimes people even request, I'm wearing like workout clothes today. Can you add a little bit more just to make it look, yeah, I'm more intentional, like I'm actually like dressed up for this. So I'm like, sure, you want like, high heels, boots, whatever, we can work that out.
That's great. That's great. We're fortunate to have a couple of short video clips showing you in action. And this first one, short one, just give viewers a little sense of your approach and technique as you do this couple.
Yeah, and it was really nice. I remember it was actually four cousins, and then they decided to, because I couldn't fit all of them in one painting, they decided to pose sort of mirrored of each other. So they were both sort of lounging on the grass, and then at the end, they all had the paintings together and took some photos. So I thought
Oh,
that was really
fabulous,
sweet.
fabulous. And then this next one, very interesting, time lapse. Can you just share briefly before we enjoy it, who you're featuring here?
Sure. Oh, I'm trying to remember now. I think yes. Okay, it was a family of three. They had just had a baby.
Ah,
There are a lot of situations where maybe someone's come to the park because they want like baby photos, but then they see me painting and they're like, "Oh, we also want a painting too." And so that's delightful to see. I've painted a lot of people who had just gotten engaged and they were taking photos there. I think that's one of the unique things about the park is there are many reasons that people go. So you have your commuters and the people that go for workouts, but also people who maybe are driving, an hour out of
Mm.
town, 2 hours out of
Mm.
town just to have a really nice scenery for some life event that they're celebrating.
Fabulous. What a great opportunity you have of just meeting this wide range of individuals. And as you say, people there for different purposes. That's fascinating in itself.
It's been very rewarding and very unexpected, the types of things that people yeah, will contact me for and it's been really lovely.
And these next group are some wonderful finished products with the people that you painted. As we go through them, feel free to highlight anything you want to just briefly add, either about the individuals, the finished product. These three women definitely came out extremely well.
Yeah, it was very funny. I think we were talking a bit before the use of social media that people have sort of um, harnessed and then have shared with their friends. So when I was first doing the paintings, I didn't have social media at the time, and I just wanted it to be a kind of, oh, I'll pop up when, it works with my schedule, and it'll just kind of be a more subdued thing. And then when people are like, oh, but I want to like bring my friend next time, or I want to like bring my partner, I was like, okay, maybe I should formalize this a little bit just so people can plan around their day to be able to participate. And so I think this particular painting was done when some local Boston uh, events, I guess, yeah, social media events person had
Uh,
seen my work previously and then said, "Oh, people who are in the area should check this out." And then the next time I did the painting, there was a massive line, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the the effect that social media has. This is kind of crazy." But so a lot of people were prepared to have a certain outfit, and
ah,
obviously these three individuals coordinated that when they showed up. So.
that's
Yeah,
fabulous.
no workout clothes here. But I love painting people in like all different types of activities that they're in. So yeah, I also enjoy painting like the jogging and the a lot of Nikes, painted a lot of Nikes.
Very nice. And we'll just make our way through. Feel free to add a comment, some wonderful pet in
Yeah,
the.
lots of pets. People have brought all types of dogs. But these are cats, and that was the first, I think, and maybe the only time that I've painted cats outdoors.
Hmm. And just such a gorgeous setting we see there. Oh, just a glorious day you had for this one. Fabulous.
Maybe to college. A lot of college students come by. I think they might have been roommates.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and I remember this couple too. Yeah, I really loved the print on the shirt.
Yeah.
I wish if I had more time, I could spend more effort to add more details. And so in this particular case, I was able to add the details quickly, but wasn't able to get the details on her shirt.
But it looks great. What are some of the typical reactions you get from the individuals after they've received the portrait?
Oh, um, I would say surprise is the most common reaction.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh well, yes, like I went to school for this. Like, it doesn't, I'm not just born doing this. Like, yes, I've had a lot of practice to sort of get it to a stage where it's a very natural and easy, effortless thing to do. So surprised, they're like, wow, it really looks like me. I'm like, okay, good. Good, I have fulfilled my role. A
Right.
lot of also, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to say, especially in the limited time that you produce these, 7 to 12 minutes is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said it's their first time being painted too, and they're like, "Gosh, I didn't know how hard it was to like hold a pose." And then, yeah, more than once, I think some people have also said it has made them feel less self-conscious about their body image. So that's
Hmm.
been, yeah, a really unexpected but positive outcome in this process. And aside from the people receiving the paintings, occasionally people like waiting in line will give me things. So that's been kind of delightful. I've gotten poems, like
Ah,
Polaroid photos,
wow.
drawings of myself. Someone even gave me like a hat and a water bottle during a really hot day. So
Oh,
I keep all of these things, not the hat and water bottle, but the drawings and whatnot. I keep them all in my fridge, and it makes me very happy. Very
yeah,
happy to see
definitely.
them.
What are some of the challenges of painting in such a busy, bustling environment?
Hmm. Um, Interesting. So, even before the fundraisers, I've done a lot of paintings outdoors.
Ah,
I don't notice noise or onlookers because I feel very consumed by the task at hand. There was one time that a fire truck came like barreling into the garden to rescue someone's cat who had gotten stuck in a tree. And it was behind me, so it was only when like people were starting to like shout and the people that I were was painting were like pointing and then I was like, oh, so something must be going on. So I definitely have tunnel vision when I paint. But I'd say if anything's been challenging, it's really just been the fact that the sunlight fades and there's not enough time in the day to paint everyone. So when I'm wrapping up a final painting, and it's very late in the evening, sometimes people have held up flashlights on
ah,
the easel. Sometimes, if it's a group, some people will like hold up flashlights to their friends so I can really see, what's going on, especially when it's like really, really dark, like 8, 9 p.m. Um, so yeah, when the sunlight is gone, it's like, okay, maybe I should leave too. And I really like working outdoors for that reason because there is a forced stopping point. Whereas when you're indoors and again, like working out of a studio, you can like stay up till 3, 4 a.m.
mm,
and still
mm.
work and run your body out. So
Now,
it's,
this is a fabulous pose by this young boy. Any
Mhm.
memories about this interaction?
Yeah, it was one of the f earlier years that I was doing this. And he was very insistent that he hold his hands up, and I was like, okay, just make sure, that if you need to take breaks, go ahead and take your breaks, but it's gonna be kind of tiring to hold it up. So, and he was like, no, I can do it, and he actually did, and I was very impressed. I also loved, it's hard to tell in the photo, but the patches on his jeans are really fuzzy.
Mm,
So it was just a really cute textural detail, and yeah, definitely wanted to include it. Again, it's hard to paint. You don't really paint white, so when the canvas starts out white, so I was just like, what color would be nice? I think I'll just, I have lime green on my palette anyway. I'll just throw a lime green on it.
that's
Um,
fabulous. That's fabulous. There's a wonderful couple there, too. Great colors and shots.
Yeah, it's funny. The individual in the green, was actually like a friend of mine, and I had no idea. They
Ah,
had no idea it was me. I had no idea it was
ah,
them until it was like,
wow.
all right, next person. I turn around, I'm like, Ray. And Ray's like,
That's
Talia?
great.
And I was like,
Oh, that's
wow,
funny.
that's crazy. Hi,
That
you want to be
is.
painted? Yeah, so it was Ray and another friend. And this friend ended up taking a workshop that I did, just like an intro to figure drawing workshop. So, yeah, it was a quite a funny experience, and I really enjoyed being able to paint a friend.
What causes or organizations have you raised funds for?
Oh, so I would say it's been a whole list of different organizations. But mostly when I'm looking at ones to fundraise for, they will all be New England based,
Ah,
if not Massachusetts specific. So primarily social services, like soup kitchens, homeless shelters, foster care, uh, immigrant refugee services, after school programming. I've done a lot recently just because I've been personally interested in this topic and also just enjoy like learning more about it. Well, enjoy sounds like a funny word because it's quite a serious topic, but I am curious about it and I want to learn more. So, prison reform, there are many organizations that I've done painting fundraisers for that. Yeah, there's a list directly that talk about all the like organizations in more detail on the website. But if anyone wants to learn more about them, they can go and check them out.
How do you measure, say, the success of an outing by the funds raised,
Mm,
awareness generated, or the art produced, as we see here?
it's definitely not the funds raised, or the art produced. Uh, People have donated anywhere from like $3 to $200 for a painting.
Mm,
So the
mm,
only thing that a numerical value tells me is that some people have more or less pocket change to spend. And I hopefully, has nothing to do with the quality or how much they enjoy the paintings. I'd say, at least for like personal success, it's been the interactions I've had with the people I encounter. Whether I'm just like, wow, just had this group of people, these two cheerleaders, these two moms from like Arkansas, and are here for a cheerleading competition for their daughters. And while they're walking around the park, they saw me and they got their painting and they're going to take it back on an airplane. Like interactions with just being able to talk to people from so many different like countries and so many different like states that I've never been to. That's been very rewarding. And then of course the awareness that's generated for the local organizations. That probably means the most to me.
What advice might you give other artists who are interested in fundraising through their artistic efforts?
Ah, two things. One, have your basic needs met first. A lot of people will sort of say as they see me painting, like, oh, it's amazing that you're doing this and, you're donating everything to charity. And I'm like, well, hold on. Like, it is because, like, I worked a corporate job, and I can afford to spend my free time painting for no personal monetary gain. So yeah, make sure, basic needs are met, first before, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's been a very rewarding, but it would be a lot harder to try and do this if I didn't have my corporate job that gave me a very consistent, um, yeah, just very consistent money to like for
Sure.
basic necessities.
Sure.
And then secondly, and I'm learning about this for myself too. So I'm trying to get better about this. But um, just because I do one job for free, like doesn't mean that I should do everything else for free. I've gotten a lot of requests to paint for specific organizations outside of these garden pop-ups. Sometimes they're like private events, and not often, but it has happened more than once that people expect that I fulfill their requests for free as well. I would say, like, time is valuable and also limited. So personally, I've become more selective about taking private requests that don't compensate for skill and service, but at a bare minimum, I think transportation and materials should be reimbursed, and should be communicated um, pretty directly upfront.
Fair enough. Talia, in closing, time goes very fast.
Mhm.
In closing, how can viewers and others find out more about your work in textiles, industrial design, as well as upcoming sessions when you'll be out and about painting portraits?
Oh, well, I'm doing two more painting fundraisers for September. The first one is at the Somerville Gilman Square Arts and Culture Festival. So
Mhm.
that's happening this upcoming Saturday. I think it's from like 12 to 5, but it's just right off of the Green Line Gilman Square stop. And that is supporting En route education. It's a mentorship program for high school students in Cambridge. Then the second one is in the public garden, pending good weather. So unfortunately, right, with outdoors, it's always susceptible to rain. But pending good weather, that will happen September 28th on a Sunday. And that organization is Neighbor to Neighbor Massachusetts. So it's a community organizing group. They have locations in Lynn, Worcester, Springfield, and Holyoke, and they campaign for a variety of issues.
Great.
Yeah.
And in closing credits, we'll have your website and Instagram contact information.
Oh, excellent.
But unfortunately, Talia, for now, we have to stop. This has been fabulous, so informative, so inspiring, and just want to wish you continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you for highlighting this. It was great to learn more about you too, Jay. And yeah, hope our paths cross in the future.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Also, want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.